Our next session focuses on something the North is well known for, exploring, discovering, and producing gold. I'd like to invite to the stage to join me your moderator, Daniela Cambone, Editor-at-Large for Stansberry Research, Gerald Panneton, CEO and Executive Chairman of Gold Terra, Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold, and Mike Burke, Director and VP of Corporate Development for Sitka Gold Corp, for an exciting discussion.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to sit with all of you, if you don't mind. Make this more of a family affair. So good to see everyone again at this incredible PDAC. Excited to be moderating this panel with you all. I thought we would start the session if we could just speak, briefly, 2 minutes about each of your companies. So Gerald, do you want to kick things off for us here?
My name is Gerald Panneton. I'm Chairman and CEO of Gold Terra Resources. We are actively exploring and hopefully developing in the future and reopening maybe the con mine or some of the asset that we have around Yellowknife. We're focusing on gold, high-grade gold, and we've been very fortunate to be in Yellowknife, and we look forward to discuss with you today.
Beautiful. Mike?
Morning, I'm Mike Burke. I'm a geologist and I'm Vice President of Corporate Development for Sitka Gold Corp. We're exploring in the Yukon. We're within the Tombstone Gold Belt in the Yukon, same belt of rocks that Terra is in. And we're not at the same stage as Terra. We're more in the discovery stage. We've got a new discovery in the Yukon. And we did a winter drilling program on that. And we're continuing to drill that, but we've just had some very good results. It's same style of deposit as Victoria Gold's Eagle Mine, very similar mineralizing system to Terra's, driven by Cretaceous, very prolific belt of gold-rich intrusions that are driving these systems. And we're really excited because this Tombstone Gold Belt in the Yukon, although it's been known for a long time, it's really starting to mature, obviously, with one operating gold mine in it. Terra, Banyan coming out with a 4 million ounce resource. Brewery Creek, a former producing mine in that belt of rocks, and another company, Florin Gold, that has a significant resource of over 2 million ounces. So we're excited to hopefully be joining that fray. Our goal is to produce a resource by the end of the year, and we're pretty excited. We've had some fairly spectacular drill holes. Just yesterday, we released the last hole of our winter program, and it was 350 meters of 0.7 grams per ton gold. If you understand geology a bit, most people, when they read that, just said, wow, and a couple other expletives in there too. So yeah, we're pretty excited, but it really is a very spectacular belt of rocks. It's been known for a long time. Fort Knox in Alaska is hosted in the same rocks, so it's an exciting belt to be in.
Very cool. Terra?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, so Banyan Gold. I'm Terra Christie, President and CEO. Became the president in 2016 and acquired our Ormac property by option in 2017. So it's been a pretty short run. 2 years ago when I was here, I think we were under 5 million market cap company. We're now at about 130 million market cap with a 4 million ounce resource at 0.6. So a lookalike to Victoria Gold's Eagle Gold Mine, very similar grade. We think that, we've got continued resource growth. We just are completing a financing of $16.5 million, non-brokered private placement with no warrants, which will really put us in good stead. We've already drilled 22,000 meters this year, adding to that resource, and we plan 60. And just for context, why is that significant? Well, we took our resource from 900,000 ounces to 4 million with 40,000 meters of drilling. So we added 3.1 million ounces. What do you think we can do with 60,000 meters, focusing on our higher grade core that we're seeing and continuing to grow that resource towards a PEA in 2023. I'm not nailing down when that PEA will be in 2023, but we'll have another significant resource update. And I want to find some high grade starter pit areas before we do that. Nice. So look forward to lots of strong news flow for us. We've got lots of drill results, lots of metallurgical results, which will also be coming out. So yeah, should be a great year.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about more about each of your goals later. But I thought it'd be interesting to start the panel today by getting your thoughts, as leaders, thought leaders in the space, on the general sentiment that you're seeing at PDAC. So, just to set the stage, we haven't had a PDAC in over 2 years. We see the lineups. People are excited to be back in the space. But I would say that investor sentiment is mixed. So we have, folks just eager to be investing again, eager to get back out there. But on the flip side, we have these worries, obviously, about inflation, about whether we're in a recession. So I'm just curious to get your general thoughts on the space right now. Terra, let's start with you.
So, I since we were doing a financing, I've talked to lots of people. Liquidity is definitely an issue for some usual investors in this space. Many have also taken this opportunity to buy some of their favorite names at really low prices. So everybody seems to be echoing the concern about inflation and wanting to be conservative. So definitely there. I think good projects and good teams are still getting funded, but not to the levels that they maybe would have if we had a better gold market. The generalist investor, I don't think is really here. There's a lot of very specialized mining investors who are interested, but I haven't seen much of a retail here.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you one more question on that. That's an interesting point. How much of that do you feel has to do with just investor confidence being rocked right now? We see what's happening in the S&P. How much of that is tied to that of this, this basically this risk adverse environment?
Oh, I think a huge amount is, and even in mining investors, and you look at most gold companies and their share prices have been decimated. We hit a 52-week high on Friday, but that's only because we're undervalued at that. So in my humble opinion, so, and I'm vested, I'm a 5% shareholder. So yes, I make forward-looking statements but I'm a strong believer. I think our sector, we'll get some tailwinds, but it's going to take time. I don't think it's going to change much before the fall for the broader gold market, and we just have to see what happens. Inflation, like we see it in fuel prices, and we buy 40,000 liters at a time, so it makes a big difference whether there's a 5-cent difference in fuel price, and we've seen almost 40% price increases.
So is that keeping you up at night? Is that a major concern?
It's not a major concern because we've planned for it in this financing. We upped our all-in drill costs. We used to be $240. We're allowing $265 to accommodate both wage inflation, which is real, and competition for people. I don't know where all the people went, but we're training and we're bringing people in as our competitors. We were able to do some things that other companies couldn't. We bought enough fuel storage so we can take 3 B trains of fuel in and store it, so we can actually pick prices and lock in our price when we see a downturn and avoid the spikes, which lots of companies can't do because they don't, one, have the cash, and two, they don't need that volume, and they don't have the storage. Fuel tanks were ridiculously, we managed to get some, and we paid $20,000 for them. They're now worth $120,000, and people are trying to buy them from me. It's like, nope, they're not for sale. Sorry.
You're just keeping them close.
Pickup trucks. Look at the inflation on a used pickup truck now. You can't even find one, and it's the same price as a brand new one was last year. So it's crazy out there.
I would think that's a challenge. Mike?
Yeah, I'll echo Terra's comments that good projects are still getting financing, but yeah, the challenge is inflation and rising costs and doing your work. So your money's not going to go as far, but again, we're seeing institutional investors coming to the front and specific investment groups. The retail person is not there, those groups. And our stock, we're super excited about the results we're getting, but your stock's flat as a pancake. So it's a very tough investment, right now.
I sensed your frustration almost. And I think that echoes the frustration of many investors where, these companies are so undervalued, right?
Yeah, it's an opportunity too, right? But it is frustrating unless you happen to pull off some really nice drill holes and people come to you and want to give you money, right? If we weren't in that situation, I think our company, Corp, our CEO, took a risk in doing a winter drill program because, Yukon's not well renowned for winter drill programs. They're typically not done, but you can do them if you have good infrastructure and you've been there a while and you've got everything set up properly. So it was a two-pronged approach. One, to prove that our project has good infrastructure, the road access, all the things we need to be able to do a winter drill program. But two, the drill hole, the discovery hole that we released in December was drilled in August. So it took that long to get the drill results, and the labs aren't as busy in the winter. So we were able to drill 4 holes, get results out, that have been trickling out over the last month. And we were able to attract investment that way. If we hadn't have done that, I don't know, we would have been, we would have had enough funding to make it through this year, but we wouldn't have had drill results till July, and who knows would we have survived that storm over the summer? I wish I could predict the future. We'll see what happens. But at least now we can breathe easy and produce a bunch more great results.
Yep. Gerald, thoughts from you?
You know, after, you know, the market is the market. The society, the economics are the economics. If you're 20 years old, this is your first time. If you're 65 like me or 64, we've seen it before. You just keep your head down. You just roll the dice. You just go for better project, better location. You do your best with what the market is. If the investors are going away, it's because they got burned before, and sometimes you need to bring them back. There's a lot of volatility in our market. There are people stopping at our booth. There are interests. Of course, we're not focusing on Yukon low-grade deposit. We're focusing on a high-grade deposit. And so it may be a bit different. But at the end of the day, you have to keep generating value for your shareholders. You need to keep finding ways to be able to drill every year and every season and continue creating the value for them, and they're going to come back at some point. We don't predict gold price. You can't predict what's happening with the market. It's fruitless. Just keep your good work, spend your money in the right place, and we'll get through.
I think that you've all kind of touched on a bigger, broader issue here. It's like, how do you attract the retail investor? Because, you know, having covered this space for close to 15 years now, there's so much pressure and expectation from gold price, right? But if you look at it, it's outperforming crypto. 30% this year, has completely lapped the S&P. Yet, as we all know, Wall Street has not ever embraced gold. So how, as an industry, can we kind of shift that mindset and bring the attention and show the folks, like, hey, this is a great sector that you should be investing in? What has to happen, or what should we be doing more of? Any insights on that?
Oh, I think the work that, well, all of the companies are doing on the ESG side helps. Like, I know in my financing, there are some funds which specifically look for ESG. Getting a good reputation in the community for being protecting the environment, minimizing impacts. We just put in propane generators to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and we're going to get connected to the hydroelectric grid, which is going to be really important for showing, this can be green. And we're working really closely with the First Nation on some of the reclamation stuff and heritage stuff and wildlife stuff, which is important to them, to make sure that we have that social license. So I think that's super important, the social license part, so that projects can get permitted, which is where some investors have been burned. Projects have got down the road and then they weren't able to get permits. And then just broader getting out. This is good. $1,800 gold price is actually pretty great. The majors are got some pretty good cash flow at that. You look at what Victoria Gold's payback was, even at the grades which we have. They had a grade of 0.64, 2-year payback it was a 2-year payback, and that's pretty great. Mm-hmm. That's actually pretty good returns, and their cash flow long term will be great. And if our project and Mike's project eventually look like that, and we're in a jurisdiction where you can actually permit and build a mine, that will be a project to continue to get investment.
Absolutely. Gold, along with the US dollar, oil, obviously, on track to be one of the best performing assets of 2022. How do we get more attention into the sector, Mike?
I think, ESG is a big part of it, but the mining industry has been well involved in ESG for the last decade. The strides that we've made over the last couple decades in how we mine, how we explore, I think is remarkable. But we're not all that good at telling our story. So we're up against a lot of, at times, misinformation about how we work and what it is we do and the impact we have. I mean, I can recall my first summer in the bush where I was walking with a D8 cap behind me, telling them where to push a road. Now that takes me 6 months to get a permit to do that same road, and I would never think of walking through the bush with a D8 cap behind me pushing a new road. So how we work, how we operate has changed dramatically. And, I don't know any mining company or exploration company that wants to trim costs in order to save money at the expense of the environment. So we're making great strides. I think we have to be better storytellers about that. And that's, a difficult thing. We're all busy trying to find mines, trying to develop mines, permit them, do all these things, but we don't have a great communication strategy, or it's very difficult to get through to the general public about how mining is advanced environmentally and exploration, and what a good job we're doing. And some of the environmental techniques in reducing our impact are quite amazing. We're a science-based industry, and we've got to gain the public's trust. And it's not just telling a story. I think the boot's got to do the walk, and we have to prove it and get those stories out.
Gerald, any insights there?
I think ESG is a big word, and a
Mike.
lot of people are. Sorry, ESG is a big word. I mean, we all agree about the importance of it. What's interesting is how many people are trying to tell us how to do it. We've been doing it for many, many years. When I was at Barrick for 12 years, I built 2 gold mines in Tanzania, and we had the highest ESG, common sense and approach. And when I built Detour Gold, again, we had ESG in forefront. It's about yourself. It's about your track record. It's about your personality. It's about your company. It's about what you reflect in the world. I think a lot of investors are investing now in mining because we're more concerned because of all the disaster of the past. And those disasters still happen not long time ago, tailing breach, stuff like that. If you build a tailing which is upstream, you're gonna have a problem. And still people and still some country have upstream tailings dam. In Ontario, it's only downstream or center line, and they're bloody expensive. I bet you that at Detour Lake, we spend probably every lift cost $100 million every year. Okay? So ESG is about your personality. It's about your common sense, your transparency. How long did the mining industry report its operating costs and not all the all-in sustaining capital? Which is today a big issue because you have to spend the time and the money on environmental, on social license. But if you've done it, I've done it 3 times. I know exactly what you have to do. You know what it is? I am a guest in Yellowknife. I have a host. It's Yellowknife. It's the First Nation. It's the 20,000 people. This is how you approach it. Tell me how we can build it together.
That's really well said. And do you think that other companies are doing that successfully, Gerald? Or more
I don't know, but I know I am. But I'm hoping that everybody else will, for sure, because what reflects a disaster, and for those who've been around, when we have a disaster, it goes across the whole sector, even if you're doing a good job. So it's a common sense. Don't invest in bad management. Don't invest in people that screw up the earth. Invest in people that care about developing a project in your community the right way.
Mention,
okay?
yeah, it's beautifully said. I want to talk a little bit about exploration activity. We obviously, 2021 was a banner year, 11.2 billion in exploration activity. One thing that has struck me at this PDAC is the number of new companies that have emerged. I'm looking at these names, never heard of these names. Interested to get your thoughts on exploration activity versus also the M&A activity we're seeing. Is there one route that you think is healthier for the industry, or what would you like to see more of?
I think we're seeing different jurisdictions get some new discoveries, and then we are having more explorations come into some of those sectors. And Yukon's one, for example, and we needed to show that projects can get all the way. Like Victoria Gold building a mine in a district where we're making new discovery is really important. And then people understanding that this is a mineral endowment that's pretty broad. There's a big belt and we were just talking about it before we came up here. And we're going to make more discoveries, and it is a place where mining's being done right, and there's a template for that, and we've got into that. The other important thing is that junior companies have management teams that spend shareholders' dollars well, and that we deliver on our results. And that's been, we had that other gold rush, not too long ago, big financings, lots of money spent, what was it, 2012? And there were a lot of junior people running companies. Money wasn't necessarily, we didn't get results. So companies need to make sure that they're spending money well, they've got good targets, and they don't, if your target's not panning out, you need to move on to something else. But we need more companies that are, saying, here's my plan, and then delivering on their commitment so that shareholders have confidence in them. And that's something that I'm, trying to, when I started being a CEO,
Yep.
it was hard because you don't know you don't have a crystal ball, but the more you learn and the more you're able, okay, these are realistic targets, I'm going to achieve this is what I see, and communicating fairly. And sometimes you get a miss, and you have to tell your shareholders, this was a plan, it didn't work out that way, this is what I'm going to do next. But being really forthcoming so that shareholders know what to expect. And that's why I got financed again by very solid institutional shareholders primarily, is I delivered on what I said I was going to do. Here's what this is my timeline. I'm going to come back to you when I've done this. And they said, yep, you did everything right. Tick, tick, tick. Here's some more money. Go at it. We'll talk to you again in a year. So I think that's really instilling some investor confidence in that they see companies doing what they say they're going to do.
Mike?
Yeah, I think on the merger and acquisition side, we're seeing still some of that, like Goldfields going after
course.
Yamana here.
Yeah.
And, from my viewpoint anyways, I don't necessarily like that. There's less big people out there to come after the little folks, right? I think that mid-tier gold producing companies,
Yeah.
To fill that gap, there's a lot less majors out there than there were 20 years ago. So we're seeing that merger and acquisition. So when we're making new discoveries or Terra finds an economic deposit and proves that, there's not as many, hawks hovering around to swallow her up. So, seeing companies like Victoria Gold emerge, are they going to become a multi-mine producer and fill that gap? I think that's important. So that growth of the kind of mid-level mining company that can help feed us juniors is important. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Comment on that.
Yep.
And in our self-interest of probably both Mike and I,
Yep.
M&A right now, we're too undervalued for M&A. My shareholders would not be happy with a 40% premium to the current, so I avoided that question on purpose because I think we have so much more value to add. I know Mike does.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. There's less people there to kind of come after us, so they're kind of hovering around, rubbing their hands. But yeah.
Well, you just have to become a big one yourself. So what's the point? You don't need people to buy you. If your end game is to get sold, to make money and go another one, yeah, it may happen. But you can't run after buyers. They'll buy you if they like you. And so,
But don't you think that happens all too often, Gerald, that a lot of companies are?
because there's a lot of people that could not run mines and they prefer to sell. How many people can develop a mine like we did at Detour? How many?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Gerald. But not
Because
ev-
what I'm
not
trying to
every-
say is that
yeah.
it's not because all the major and the mid-tier producer are disappearing and getting smaller. They're gonna go after other company for one reason. I worked at Barrick Gold for 12 years. We were trying to produce 10 million ounces of gold a year. Okay, we needed to find 20 million ounces of gold to sustain growth. Can anybody tells me how do you find 20 million ounces a year? Yeah, you can't find that by exploration. You could be very lucky like we did at Detour. Go from 1 million ounces to more than 20, but this is a rare opportunity. So what I'm trying to say is that because it's so hard to explore, because it's so hard to find gold, and the grade is going down and down and down, like we're talking 0.7 gram, and if you can make money at $1,800 gold, great. But at the end of the day, we need to, as Canadian, the saddest thing in this story is the sale of Falconbridge, Inco, Noranda. Canadians are the best miners in the world. Australians are coming here to take us over. Come on,
That's right. That's
just
right.
grow.
I love
Make
the
it
brutal
happen.
honesty, Gerald. I love it. Okay, before we get to audience questions, I just
merge.
Sure, I'll take over your evaluation.
I do want to talk. We're obviously here for a Yukon event, and I think, and I'm saying this completely unbiased, I think they do an incredible job of marketing the Yukon, in terms of jurisdictions. But just want to get your experiences. You've all worked in different jurisdictions, so pros and cons of working and investing in the Yukon.
So I haven't worked as many places as Gerald, but I have worked in Tanzania,
Yeah.
and I've worked all across Canada's north,
Yeah.
from Hope Bay for Newmont,
Yeah.
through the NWT. And I must say I came back to the Yukon because it's something I know and love. You know, we have security of tenure, we've got a permitting process, supportive government, and a huge mineral endowment. So a jurisdiction that I love. But you know, there's so many differences all across the north itself, that we really, you know, it's been a great opportunity to work in the Yukon, and Anne and the team do a great job at marketing for us. So it helps a lot. And I really think Yukon's the next emerging district. We're going to see so much gold discovered in the Yukon in the coming years that we're going to continue to drive investment.
I've been very focused.
Pros
in
and
my
cons,
career.
pros and cons.
Yeah.
I-
I've worked almost exclusively in the Yukon. I worked 20 years with the Yukon Geological Survey. I've worked a bit in BC. I've traveled around the world looking at things. So I'm pretty focused on the Yukon. Pros and cons, I mean, obviously the Yukon's a great place to invest. You can permit a mine. If they put myself or Terra in charge, could we speed things up? Could we make it better? Absolutely. Nothing's ever perfect. If you ever ask an explorer or a miner, you know, are you happy with your permitting process? They'd say, no, it's got to be faster, of course. So Yukon has those same issues where we're not 100% satisfied, but it's obvious that you can permit, build, develop a mine, you can explore. You do work properly, you can get that social license. We're in somebody's backyard all the time, so that's something that the mining and exploration industry has recognized. So we are involving the local communities. The local First Nations aren't just you know, contractors or employees, they're partners. So those things are very important, and I think in the north, you know, that's one of the advantages we have, is that we're smaller, we have that connection to the communities, and so to be able to get that social license and have everybody benefit from what we do is important and is a little bit different from perhaps a lot of other places.
Gerald, thoughts on Yukon?
Pros on Yukon?
Pros, and you could throw in a con.
No problem. I'm pro Yukon.
Pro Yukon. Challenges?
After spending a long career of going around, I would say that I'm pro Canada, okay, in general. I think it's important to say that. But I'm also pro Northwest Territory, I'm pro Yukon, and you know, I'm pro Ontario, I'm pro Quebec, you know, but we have a problem. It's the federal. They're not pro mining resources. That's
Oh boy.
the cons. No, this is the province, from one province to the next one. Look, I'm pro Northwest Territory because I'm in Yellowknife. But if I was in the middle of nowhere like Old Bay Belt, which I looked at in 1996, and I refused to buy it for $5 million back at the days from BHP because of location. So infrastructure are lacking in some of the area of our country, and we need to put more infrastructure to support development of mining in the north.
I wasn't going to go there, but I think I'm going to go there. So, Gerald, on that point, because I love the pro-Canada approach here, living in the U.S. now, you know, one thing that I'm often told is, I just love Nevada. Nevada's the best jurisdiction for mining in the world. So what would you tell those folks there if you had to make the case for Yukon?
I worked in California for 2 years, so I know. I had to spend more time in Washington, D.C. sometime than
So
anywhere
what's the
else.
truth?
Well, the truth is much better to be in Canada.
Why?
Because we know the legal system. You have 50 states, here you have 10 provinces, so you have an advantage. You can choose where you want to work. But it is true that Nevada is a great place, for example, for low-grade deposit, heap leach. But as soon as you go into the sulfide, it's refractory and you have a problem. And if the grade is not there, you need another clave. Energy is always an issue. I mean, we need to have better infrastructure. Why is Canada so expensive to live? We're only 40 million people for bigger than the US. 10% of the population for about 35% more land. And we are a resource country. We need to promote the development of resource in the north. I'm not an Alberta person. I know nothing about oil and gas, except it's expensive. But at the same time, you know, we work, we're lucky. I mean, there's a road that was built from Edmonton all the way to Yellowknife. There are some roads in Yukon that you have access. My thesis advisor used to go to Yukon for his stuff. stuff at McGill. We have a great potential. Yes, it is expensive to try to work in the north, unless you have tons of money, but that's the way to develop. Mining has developed our north, has developed Timmins, Val-d'Or, has developed Red Lake, has developed so many places, northern Saskatchewan, northern Manitoba. And we tend, and I think I remember Jean Chrétien saying something like about that years and years ago. Oh, we're going to do a turn. We're going to become a technology country.
That's right.
And we're going to develop Ottawa as the Silicon Valley of Canada. What a waste of money. And I like Jean Chrétien a lot. Okay? But at the same time,
Yeah.
we are a resource country. And we
Embrace
have,
it. Yeah, embrace
Good.
it. As a proud Canadian, I say amen to that.
You want me to stop, right?
No, I want you to keep going. I love this panel. I'm having a great time. I just want to know if there's any questions from the audience before we wrap this panel. Any questions? We've silenced everyone. We've just stunned them. Well, thank you all. I thoroughly enjoyed the panel discussion. I know.
10 more minutes?
We could keep going. You want to keep talking?
Well, nobody's leaving.
So
All right,
to
let's
the
keep going.
infrastructure
We'll go
point,
for another 5 minutes. Yeah, go.
the
I'm never out of subjects, Gerald. Terra.
to your infrastructure point, you compare Africa, where the telecommunications, everyone's got cellular. We're still struggling in the north to have many, we really need to invest in telecommunications. We need to improve internet in the north. Roads, yes, we've got commitments to roads. Let's see those actually built. They made those commitments 5 years ago. Okay, where's that 360 million? Let's make it happen. And then investing in people. And to your point, we're losing our talent. We've lost our major mining companies that are Canadian. Let's not lose any more. Homegrown. I'd love to take this all the way to the point where Banyan gets to make the choice of whether it gets built or not, and replace myself with somebody who can build a mine, which I could do because I know lots of mine builders. I'm not one, but I know how to get it all the way to the doorstep, and I'm a 5% shareholder, so I'm going to hire the right person to do that. But what do we need? We need the support of Canadians to get there. We need them to start investing. We need more people. Enrollment in geology this last year has dropped dramatically, and yet we all have more jobs than ever. We can't find enough people. We need to invest in training, and you see things like Yukon University getting more people into mining. I know I'm working on 3 $5,000 scholarships, which will be announced for mining and geology for Yukoners, which are going to be really important to getting people trained. We really need to invest in people as well as infrastructure, because it's a key part, and we need to stop losing them. The Australians, they've got all the firepower because everyone believes in their, they've got the market cap. So yeah, they can come buy out our companies, which are hugely undervalued. So I agree, it's a big Canadian problem we have.
Well, I agree.
Yeah,
It's investment in ourselves that's difficult, and we are, it's mostly gray hair in the room. It's changing a little bit, I've noticed, in the last few years. Well, I will speak for myself. Yeah, there's some hair. But no, it is difficult, the whole resources behind, advancing the Canadian companies. So it's...
So is it really just because I feel like we've been hearing this, at least since I've been covering it for so long, like, oh, we need to bring in new talent. We can't find the geos. How long have we been hearing this for? At least for as long as I've been covering the sector. So is it really just a major change at a government level that needs to happen?
No, I think, again, it's that by proving that we're a great business to be involved in.
I know what's missing.
What?
Gerald, as Prime Minister?
We need a video game on geology.
Yeah, that's right.
There is one. There's a Minecraft.
Well,
Mining,
Yeah.
No,
It's a good point. It doesn't seem exciting at the outset, but boy, if you've been involved in exploration and mining, it's an Easter egg hunt. It's a treasure hunt. When you do find something, like being involved with Sitka, we're in the discovery stage, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It's been a lot of years since I've been directly involved
It is-
in
it
a
is very
discovery
exciting space.
in Yeah, I'm stoked. It's so
And,
fun.
And again, I just
yeah.
don't think like, if we look at, and I don't want to bring up crypto, but we see that the younger investors obviously attracted to meme stock investing, crypto investing, and I think it just has to do with educating them that, well, if you get in early in a lot of the mining stocks, it could be lucrative as well, right? So it's like, how do you bridge that gap, and maybe it's just,
Well, we need Terra to become on the 4 top billionaire list.
yeah?
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I
No, but
mean,
it's not just about money, but it's about, what I'm trying to address the point of employment, we need to get involved. We need to do what you're doing, which is support the young people. We need to hire people out of university. We have to encourage, and we have to make it attractive. It's always, if the people prefer to sit in their home and play the computer and work from home, it can be difficult to find people that will go in the woods or in the bush and try to find deposit and sacrifice half of their life traveling on the road. But you need to make that effort. And this effort is worth doing by training people, by, encouraging local hired and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so now I don't want to run over time. So
But-
I guess, you know what, let's end with this on a high note. Goals for you for the company specific 2022, what do you want to accomplish?
Resource update in September. So we have that coming. And of course, we want to carry on with the program that we have on the Con Mine at the Yellowknife camp. It's a tremendous camp, produced 13 million ounces on the Campbell Shear. And I think this year we've made some good additional discovery of high-grade mineralization nearby. Hopefully, more money so I can drill more and be aggressive.
Mike?
a maiden resource on our RC Gold project. By the, this drill program is 10,000 meters. We've done about 6,000 in the past, so we'll be up to 16, and that should give us enough to do a maiden resource, and then that should help us keep drilling and raise more money.
Perfect. Tara, bring it home for us.
All right. Well, my plan's to get Ormac to a Tier 1 status, which is plus 5 million ounces with 60,000 meters of drilling, which, we're already in 22,000 into that, and really start to work on all of the metallurgical and other work that will support a positive PEA in 2023. So should be fun.
I wish you all continued success. Tara, Mike, Gerald, it's been a pleasure this morning. I hope you had fun. I did. I did, yeah. And I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a wonderful PDAC, folks. Enjoy.